Hello everyone, this is Kuroda coming at you, giving you game 1 in a series between eMaLfans and Lucifer. We see eMaLfans spawning as the blue human player here at what I'll call the 4 o'clock position. Meanwhile, at the 5 o'clock position, we see Lucifer spawning as the gray undead. Gonna go ahead and speed things up to the 6 times speed. Things are getting underway. Altar of Darkness followed by a crypt. Tomb of Relics already underway here as the scouting has begun. Now, Undead versus Human in this matchup, Death Knight versus Archmage, the most likely candidate, as I'm wondering what strategies will be used in this matchup. Undead obviously will be going for those destroyers just because he wants to make sure to counter water elementals and slow. Now the big question is whether or not eMaLfans is going to be able to get a good, oh, there's a good steal right there, as a death coil did go down, using 75 mana, but really not getting all that much, maybe denying a little bit of experience, a little bit of gold, but that mana is being regenerated anyways. Water Elemental taking a fair bit of damage, down to 98 hit points. There's a Death Coil, and that Water Elemental worth a little bit more experience, but really doesn't take any toll onto eMaLfans. So a little bit curious about that. Perhaps Lucifer is just looking to lay down pressure and prevent the Archmage from being able to creep with a second Water Elemental. All right, there you can see that Archmage now wandering around here. Death Knight also wandering around, trying to delay any sort of creeping that can go on. And if Lucifer is able to stop eMaLfans from creeping, then he will definitely be in the lead. I'm expecting a tech to tier 2 at any moment now, as Crypt Fiends are starting to join in. There is that tech to tier 2. Keep already teching to tier 2 as well, as we may be looking at perhaps a Mountain King or some other secondary hero. Death Knight now wandering around here, going to be chasing after the remaining units. Let's go ahead and follow him there. Spacebar does not work to follow units. Have to click the portrait, as the Death Knight now looking for where that one Archmage could possibly be. We can tell by the minimap that he's going to be creeping out this creep camp off to the north, and yes, that giant sea turtle will get taken down. A second Cloak of Shadows being dropped right there, and we should see the eMaLfans getting to level 2. There is a level 2 Archmage there. Death Knight arrives to the party, wants to get some extra damage onto that. Water Elemental does do it. And now the skeletal minions may be able to poke away a little bit at the hit points of that Archmage. Meanwhile, the Death Knight down to 400 hit points, but really not concerned. A rather strong and durable hero, as he is going to be coming back onto Blight to regenerate more hit points. Skeletal minions now moving off to the north here, just to see and try and keep track of where exactly eMaLfans wants to go for his experience. He doesn't have any strong items. He has only creeped out green creep camps, and with the double Cloak of Shadows, perhaps got a little bit unlucky, perhaps hoping for a Mantle of Intelligence or some other much more useful item. Meanwhile, let's take a look at this. Death Knight now going to be making its way in. Death Knight should be able to easily take down this giant sea turtle. No! A beautiful deny there by eMaLfans, and we see that deny is going to add a little bit more experience, but more importantly, deny the tech, or deny getting to level 2 for this Death Knight. Archmage almost gets another sea turtle hatchling right there, but the fireball just did not roll high enough damage. I don't know how much it exactly did, but, well, it didn't do enough. Skeletal minions now wandering back here. We're going to be taking a look at perhaps the Death Knight trying to creep out this creep camp, perhaps just pulling down that Ogre Magi. Yes, going to be doing exactly that there. As you can see, the skeletal minions are all in position. Skeletal minions have to be very, very careful. They want to tank that damage, and a second skeletal minion should be dropped down here, or another charge. There you go, as Lucifer is trying to go after this Ogre Magi, get that Rune of the Watcher in play, and now sitting at level 2 with Ring of Regeneration. You can see that that Death Knight is actually regenerating a lot of hit points per second right now between Unholy Aura, the additional strength, and, well, once he gets back on the Blight, things will change. Meanwhile, though, eMaLfans doing a very, very fast rush, a very heavy piercing rush right here, as the Acolytes now being brought over to try and repair. The Crypt is taking a lot of damage, and that could be very, very big news. The Acolyte somehow able to just fend for himself here, as the Crypt Fiends are trying desperately to go after these footmen. This is not going to work out all too well, though. As you can see, the Crypt taking a little bit of damage. More acolytes now being brought over, as we can see now the Halls of the Dead starting to do a little bit of a push back. All right, guard towers off to the north, taking a fair bit of damage, but constantly getting repaired. Meanwhile, the remaining 2 guard towers are nearly done. Let's take a look. Slaughterhouse almost coming into play as well. Crypt Fiends need to back off here. Death Knight in serious trouble, as the Archmage and the Fire Lord continuing their pressure. All right, Lich will be backing off here in just a second. Death Knight down to 200 and some odd hit points, may be forced to pick up a potion of healing. Not quite sure why we don't see a potion of healing just quite yet, as we can see one footman. No, the footman did not get taken down. Death Knight still fighting desperately back here. We are looking at an obsidian statue just not yet done, as the Death Knight is running all the way back as far as he can to get every bit of hit points. All right, Scroll of Town Portal coming back the other way. Most likely the Death Knight is going to be forced to pick up some potions of healing. Where is it? No, there's that potion of healing. Is he going to use it? He didn't look like he used it just quite yet. Perhaps the timing is not yet quite right, as the obsidian statue now out on the field. All right, Water Elemental going after the units here. Footman now trying to fight back here. Death Knight down to 186 hit points, but rising rapidly as the Altar of Darkness is about to fall. Crypt not in danger of getting taken down. Meanwhile, Water Elemental, who I believe should be vulnerable to Frost Nova, having no problems right there. Let's take a look at it. There goes another Water Elemental as well. Lava Spawn may end up splitting here in just a moment. We see one Obsidian statue, and now Meat Wagons being added. A little bit of an extra break right there, as the Death Knight may be able to get down that Fire Lord. eMaLfans doing a great job, but not enough, as Lucifer able to push back this attack. And now that he has a meat wagon in the mix, I do not believe the Archmage, well, no, I take it back. Footman with defend now coming back the other way, may be enough to continue this push here. Losing that Fire Lord at this point is not that big of a deal, just because the Fire Lord probably doesn't have enough mana to drop another unit anyways. The big difference will be the fact that the Death Knight is at level 3 and the Lich is almost at level 2. All right, damage is continuing. We are not teching to Black Citadel. Death Knight should just turn around and take down that Footman. There you go, as the Crypt Fiends are being forced to constantly pull back here and try and survive. Death Knight down to a dangerously low 200 hit points, using another potion of healing, using those items very effectively, as the Lich now continuing to fight back. Death Knight now still sitting at level 3. Archmage still sitting at level 2. Mortar teams now being added, most likely as the Fire Lord being joined back in on this fight. There goes one poor militia right there. Death Knight may continue the charge here. More skeletal minions being added. Footmen doing their best to try and take down these units, and it looks like it will not be able to. That meat wagon in the backfield more than enough, as we are looking at the guard towers still pelting down damage, but will it be enough? The Crypt Fiends at some point can just easily turn around and switch their focus from these footmen with defend to the more important targets, which right now is those guard towers. If the Crypt Fiends just go after the poor peasants are going to continue to fall, and the Death Knight may even reach level 4 relatively quickly. Death Knight down to 300 hit points. Death Coil taking down the Fire Lord for the second time here, and I think Lucifer is going to have it. The experience gain alone may be enough, as the Mortar team finally joins in on the fight. All right, one Mortar team against one Meat Wagon. The Meat Wagon going to be launching those attacks, but however, the Meat Wagon has to be very careful. Death Knight is nearby, and I gotta believe we are going to be using the potion of healing and death coils and Frost Nova sometime soon. All right, just a little bit behind in terms of mana. Oh, there's a little bit of cold damage already being used. Death Knight unable to land down a death coil. Frost Nova, skeletal minions. And now we see a Frost, wait, I believe, no Frost Nova there, just a Mortar team getting taken out. Lich almost at level 3, gonna get to level 3 right there. There you have it, and a level 2 Frost Novas may be far too much. eMaLfans just giving the GG right there, unable to finish the job as he loses game number 1. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed game 1 in the series. Please stay tuned for game number 2.